portion of the assessment, you're going to need to render this image. And to do that, we need to set up some materials on here. Now, what I've done with this model is, if I zoom into it, I'll just hide the other layers for now. Go into edit mode and turn these off. We'll just go back to that layer there, and I'll zoom in on it. And some of these here, I'm just going to apply one material to the whole thing. So I've got a material on it, and I'm going to give it a kind of a road color. You can see a road color at the top there. Maybe a bit lighter for this. That looks all right there. The sides of it don't actually matter, because when I put the model on, for whatever reason, it got squished down. I think that's to do with the projection. But this bit here, I'm going to make a new material, create a white one, and assign it to that central section. Okay, so we get that line going through there. For this mountainous area on this other layer, I'm going to create a new material. By the way, I'm in Blender Render, not Blender Cycles. Cycles is way more powerful, but it also takes a lot longer to set up. So I'm going to set a diffuse color for the mountains, just for the main material that's on the mountains. And something like that, and I'll make it darker. Okay, now I'm going to tab into that, and I have put a triangulation modifier on this and applied it, just so that for this part here, it's going to look a lot better if it's triangulated when we put these other textures on. So what I'm going to do is go into orthogonal view, number 1, just move it so I can see everything, and turn this, edit view, turn that off down there so I can see everything. If it's dark, it means it's on. If it's light, it means it's off. And I'm going to select the peaks here. Okay, now I might go through and select some of these other triangular bits coming down as well. And I'm going to make a new material for those. So plus, new. Actually, I don't need to make a new material. What I can do is just use material 001, or the other white one that I made before, and assign that to there. So get those white peaks. And the triangulation will make it look a lot better than if you just have quads on there. So if I turn that layer off and go to this layer here, for this one, it's going to be pretty straightforward. I've got a load of materials in here. I'm not sure what they're all for. New. I'm going to make this green. Now I want it to be green, but not too green. There's some good websites out there that you can use, and I'll just bring one up. I think it's Adobe Color. Yeah, it's this one here. color.adobe.com, and at the top, explore, forest, and you can get some decent colors here. So I'm going to use some of these here. Let's see, this one actually looks, no. Which one? I want a more washed out color for my trees. I think you can organize by most popular. It's not a big deal, but there, that'll do. Okay, so I can click edit copy, and on these you can see that I get the hex thing down the bottom. So I'm going to get this green here to be my grass. So 5C832F. I go back to Blender, and in here, if I go to hex, I can type that in. 53C28F. I think that was the number. Hit enter. No, that obviously wasn't it. 5C832F. 5C832F. Okay, so there's my color there. Now I've got the saturation turned down a bit, so I might just turn it up a little bit, and that's good for that. I'll go back to the layer with all my trees on it. Now, because I made linked duplicates of these with Alt-D, I should only have to change one, and the majority of them will be changed, except that one there and that one there. So I'll just go into here. I'll zoom in on one of them, this one here. I'll apply material to the whole thing. Okay, the material I'm going to use, or the color I'm going to use, is going to be this brown, so 382513. 382513. That's going to be for the majority of it. Then A, B, select the leaf part of it, make a new material, new color, and I will pick this color here, 284907. You can just play around with this until you get something that you want. 284907, and then assign it to those trees. So that's done there. Same thing with this one here, except what I can do now, because that material already exists, is just find it. So the green material for the top there, and then hit A, select the stumps. Can I get them all? Yep. And select that material. Whoops. Make a new material and select the brown material and assign it. Okay, so there's the stumps. Now that one didn't work. It looks like I have made unlinked duplicates for all of these, so I might just go through and delete them shortly, because I only want the linked duplicates in there. So I might just duplicate this one. So anyway, I've got all my materials on there. Let's assume that I've got these on there and they're all linked duplicates. I'll just get rid of these ones that aren't done. Don't forget your stones and your bushes. Let's delete those and that. Okay, so I'll bring all three things back now, or all four layers back. You'll want to have more trees than this. Don't skimp out on it. I'm going to hit F12 to have a look at what the render looks like. It looks all right at the moment, but honestly, it's pretty average. So to fix this up, what I want to do is go into the world settings for my render. Now I'll click on the camera, so I've got camera settings here, and the world settings are here. I've opened up a second window with and changed it to UV image editor, so when I render it, I can see it in there. So it's not just over here. I've also set my camera up. Okay, if I change the position of the camera, I will get different renders over here. So that camera's too high. That one's pretty good. But I probably want to change it here. Go to 0 view, grab Z, R, Z, rotate it. Okay, so then I hit F12 and it'll render that particular scene. I'm not happy with that location, so I'll move it again. Okay, I want trees over here. You want it to look really good. So I'll grab that, I'll move it here and hit F12. I want to see the top of those mountains, so I'll rotate it. And I'm going to hit G and bring it down. Go into the full this mode. I'm going to bring it back a bit. So hit F12. That's better. I'm happier with that. It's still not great. So in the world settings, I want ambient occlusion turned on. I want to blend my sky, and I want real sky, and I want my zenith color to be a different blue. I don't want that. So hit F12 and I get it going deeper that way. I probably actually want it the other way around. So this one can be the deeper color. This one can be the lighter color, like that. Okay, so that's a bit better. I don't want real sky on because it'll put this gradient across there. That's only useful if the camera is set to the, I guess, sea level. Okay, so I've got that in there. Then I want to turn environmental lighting on and sky color. Now it's going to take a little while to play around with some of this stuff, and I'm going to turn the energy on that down and the factor on that down as well. Okay, and you'll need to play with this. The last thing I'm going to do is add a lamp, a sun. Okay, so this sun gets added into the scene here. Currently it's pointing directly down, so I'm going to rotate it and point it in a direction. Hit F12. Okay, so I get some, for some reason the shadows aren't working very well in here. In fact, they're not working at all. So let's turn off environmental lighting and see if that puts shadows anywhere. It doesn't look like those shadows are working. All we've got is the ambient occlusion in there, no actual shadows. So I'll turn environmental lighting back on. Some of my trees are also above the ground. You can see there it's floating above the ground. This tree is actually in the ground. So I'll move them off there. And you'll just want to position them so that they're not floating above the ground. So hit F12. Now that one's actually in the ground. So to get our shadow working, that's something that I'll have to look around in here. So if your shadow works, then that's great. What we need to do here is turn the shininess of these trees down. So you can go into the material editor for the tree and turn the specularity down. When I hit F12, you see those trees lose that real shininess of them. And it's going to be the same with the mountain here. I don't want, the snow can be reflective, but this one here, the dirt, I'll turn that down. Hit F12 and it will change that quite a bit. Oops. I don't know why that happened to change there. Yeah, there we go, that's better. So let's see. This ground here, it may need those modifiers applied. It has modifiers applied, so that's not a problem. Let's see if we've got the world settings. So if your shadows work fine, that's it. You just need to get a good setup here. And then you go image, save a copy or save as, making sure that this is set to 100%, or otherwise you get real low. Like you can do a quick render preview, but it's only going to be at 11% of the final size. So you want that to be 100%, and that'll give you the full high quality render. But shadows, why would shadows not be working? And they don't work in the material editor. So I can see that they've got shadows there. This object has a material. I'll turn the specularity down on that as well. Hit F12. Nope. Do I have any other suns or lamps? So if we've got another lamp, oh here we go. I've got one sun there. Oh no, that's it. Turn that off. Atmosphere. Oh, here we go. Shadow. I want ray shadow. And that should put shadows in my scene, but it doesn't. It could be that they are all on different layers, which is probably what's happening. So what I might do is just go into this layer. I'm going to move them all back to layer 1. Select everything, M, move to layer 1. Select everything, M, layer 1. Select everything, M, layer 1. Select everything, M, layer 1. Go back to layer 1, hit F12. And I still don't seem to have the shadows in the render. It may be to do with the environmental lighting though, so let's just turn that off. See if I turn off ambient occlusion. Okay, all right, if I turn off ambient occlusion, it seems to work. What if I turn on environmental lighting? Okay, so I'll turn the energy up. Oh, my mistake. Ambient occlusion should be on multiply. And it was on multiply, but now it's still not working, and this is really irritating me. Okay, and your environmental lighting should be turned down. So these are the settings here. Ambient occlusion on multiply. Shouldn't actually matter what setting that's at. No, it doesn't. The environmental lighting, you don't want the energy to be at 1. Okay, which means we want to turn the strength of our sun up. So I'll go here, turn the strength of the sun up, the energy, you can get a preview over here. Okay, so the higher the sun's energy, the better that will work out. Alright, so hopefully you watched to the end of that video. If your shadows worked fine though, then that's all good. You can change the location of the sun as well. So we want to have the shadow from the mountains, we'll rotate that around there, and we should get, I mean, if I did something like that, that's a bit silly, but you'll see the result. It's starting to become night, except the sky doesn't really do it any justice there. So if I move it like that, hit F12, I get a day scene. I get some shadows on the mountains. It looks a lot better. You want to try and get those shadows on the mountains. And it's a matter then of turning the, oops, I guess if we go to the world, I might be able to make that like a different sky color. Okay, so I'll get almost a sunset style scene there. So I'm going to save this blend, and when you've done that, it's time to move on to the next assessment, which is a short animation. We're not going to use this scene, however, we're going to create a new one.